Hello, everyone,
Hello, everybody,
and
and
welcome
welcome
to
to the
the
Larter
Larter
Show.
Show. That was awesome. We were in sync.
Yeah, as always.
We're, we're
Hello.
we are the most prepared.
That's right. After a bit of a hiatus, how long has it been since our last show? Maybe a month? Month
A
or
few
month
weeks,
and
maybe.
change?
I think
Yeah.
it might have been a month because we were gonna do this last week, but Lars was having Wi-Fi problems because he was in Arkansas.
I was in an Airbnb and yeah,
It
they
was
did not
not.
have Wi-Fi good enough for streaming. But
Yeah,
yeah, we're back, and we're here to talk about the late David Lynch, someone who's near and dear to our hearts, I'd say.
absolutely. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, David Lynch passed away. It was last. We were saying this last Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it kind of came as a shock to everyone because like we knew he was like not in good health. Like
Mm-hmm.
he'd been talking about that a little bit. Uh, but it just like came as a shock because of one of those things where it's like he feels almost like immortal in some way.
Yeah,
Like he
yeah.
just his I mean like his it's he's definitely one of those people where his work is going to transcend time, and it's always going to be talked about, always going to be relevant, just because of how unique it is, and like how much it kind of like speaks to people in like a really unique way that pretty
Mm-hmm.
much nobody else can capture.
Yeah, and I mean like influence, impact, all that kind of stuff I feel like is like just kind of undeniable with David Lynch. And I think for me it also came as a shock. I was kind of saying this before the stream, but I think I mean like every time I saw him like he was posting on his YouTube like semi-regularly. I think he had maybe stopped after a little bit, but I mean, last few years anytime I'd see him he seemed very like, you know, sprightly, kind of his usual self, if maybe looking a bit older. But
Yeah,
I never feel like his uh, I don't know. I feel like his spirits never seemed to change from my I saw. Uh, Even from like his recent posts all the way back to like seeing behind the scenes of him directing like Twin Peaks or whatever. Like he feels very much like the same guy. You know?
yeah, and like I think what's kind of shocking about him, especially like after he like you see the work he does,
Hmm.
and I mean some of it is uplifting. I'd
Hmm.
say a lot of it's pretty uplifting in like a certain way, uh,
Yeah.
but a lot of it's also dark and disturbing.
Hmm.
But he seemed like I mean I didn't know him, but like from what I've seen of him, he seemed like genuinely like a really upbeat, just like nice person. Like kind of
Yeah.
like I mean like in a way like kind of mystical. Like
I
is it?
yeah,
I
I
don't know if
mean, I
that's the
think
right word, but like you know what I mean.
it's interesting because I know a lot of actors in their like interviews and stuff talking about him because I've already seen a lot of people talking about Lynch because I'm just obsessed. But I think one big thing was like people talk about him being like very genuine, especially for being like a pretty esteemed director. Like he was usually pretty you know, down to earth. Uh more or less. And yeah, I don't know, I've seen a lot of footage of him behind the scenes directing and stuff, and I don't know, it's like I think especially for the kind of movies he was making, you'd kind of expect him to maybe be like pretentious or like annoying or, have some like really profound thing to say about any particular scene that he's directing. But most of the time he's very like, you know, uh practical and just like, okay, right now you're looking happy, you can't believe it, you just are so happy, you're overflowing with joy, go.
He
Like
has like
it's very, yeah.
he had like such a weird aura to him in it, but it like felt effortless. He didn't
Yeah.
like he wasn't like putting on a front or anything. It just seemed like that's how he is. And, like he's
Hmm.
just like and like one thing I love about him is that like everyone it seems like pretty much everyone who's ever worked with him is all they've all been like, "Oh, he's fantastic. He's like a
Yeah.
great person to work with. Like he's really kind to us. Like he seems like he's one of those people like just really seemed like a genuinely just really good guy and like
Yeah, haven't
yeah
haven't heard a bad thing about him pretty much. But I mean, that's not why we remember him really.
yeah
I'd say the biggest thing is his work and
yeah
how it's impacted us and this show, I would say at large. And so I thought we could talk about some of the impact that he's had on us. Uh,
yeah
I have three particular things in mind that I'd like to discuss. Uh, Carter, you can say as many or as little as you like.
uh
Uh,
so I guess I'll say uh like in terms of this show uh
mhm,
just absolutely like crucial part of like how this show developed. We basically did
mhm.
like I think like 2 whole semesters of college, maybe probably more than that.
Yeah, at
We
least
ta
like a year and change, or maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, we talked about Twin Peaks, and we talked about some of his movies too in that time. But
Mhm.
like Twin Peaks was a huge one, and like watching through all of that, uh, and like I don't really watch TV shows, so like
Yeah,
Lars kind of,
I'm the
I
TV one. Yeah.
I mean, I was like, Twin Peaks was like the one. If I were to watch a show, it probably would have been that one. But like, it probably would have taken me a long time to get to it. And so
Mhm.
I'm really glad Lars kind of got me to watch
Crack
it.
the whip.
Yeah,
Yeah, I made sure
because
we were watching them every day.
yeah, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, Twin Peaks was like such a life-changing like piece of art, like whole series.
Hmm.
Especially when it got to like the return and like just like that whole experience of watching Twin Peaks was so like incredible and like even with like the it's like one of those series where like you even kind of look at the bad parts bad parts fondly like
Yeah,
it's you look back at it and just like the times you watched it and it's just so memorable and so lovable and
I agree. And I've seen the show three times fully through, and every time it's been awesome.
did you finish your rewatch with Abby?
That's right. Yep.
What does she think?
She really liked it. Yeah. I mean, I think
Hell
she's
yeah.
pretty much on board. Yeah.
I think
So
as he finished the return, they were
nice.
talking about that in my server. But yeah,
Yeah. So
return is
it's
so
awesome.
good.
Yeah. But I guess I'll start with my first thing that I'd like to discuss, and I mean that's just because it's kind of related to what we're talking about now. But I mean, as far as like formation of this show goes and like impact on us, I feel like watching Mulholland Drive at your house has got to be like the like watershed moment, or like at least one of them, that resulted in us wanting to. I mean, this was during movie club, right?
Yeah,
Or maybe right before. Or
I don't
yeah,
think we
it
watched
was,
it for movie club, but we watched it
yeah,
like during that time.
while we were in that time, yeah.
And
And I think
uh, that was my second David Lynch movie I saw. My first was Eraserhead, which is kind of a weird pick.
yeah, that was my first one actually. Yeah, I think that was my first David Lynch movie that I ever saw. And yeah, I mean, I think the whole viewing experience was like almost as yeah, Eraser had mentioned from Mr. Eslo, who I watched Eraserhead for the first time with, but getting ahead of myself.
Oh, in our dorm.
In our dorm, yeah. But yeah, I think when we watched Mulholland Drive there, like I guess the thing is I didn't really know anything about David Lynch. I had no kind of like preconception to be thinking about him as being weird or like because I think there are a lot of people like um you know how you kind of always have people who are like how do you put it? Contrarian, I guess. And like David Lynch within certain circles is like kind of, well known and people like him. So I think there is kind of a counter, push to the enthusiasm that a lot of people have, which is just
Yeah,
natural kind of in our spaces that they're skeptics or whatever. But yeah, I had no positive or negative uh, you know, expectations going in, and I mean, I think it's important the way that we watch it because we watched the first half of the movie, which by all accounts is like a little bit quirky and a little bit like just slightly weird, but like nothing crazy, right? I would say. And also it kind of has that vibe of like uh I mean, there's like surreality, but it's kind of light.
It was like
But
right. I think we stopped right before the Silencio scene. Like
yeah.
literally, like
And I
right
think
before.
yeah, and I think we kind of there was also I mean, I think this is a thing that like I don't feel so much now anytime I watch something by Lynch, but something that I think I felt then and like I hear from a lot of people watching him for the first time, they're like, is this satire? Like, is this like a joke? I mean, everyone's acting so weird and poorly. Like, and I think it has to do with the surreal aspect to it, like, everything being kind of like I don't know, kind of cheesy, I guess. There's like it's a little bit cheesy and like stilted in the way that a lot of the, lines and stuff are delivered, which I think adds to the atmosphere. But I had no kind of like radar at the time, so I was like, oh, this is like kind of like bad. Like this is kind of a bad movie, but I mean, I'm enjoying it. Like that's kind of what I was thinking going into our intermission, I guess. Um, but I was like having a good time, and I was like, yeah, it's just like I don't know why everyone likes this movie so much, but it's interesting for sure, entertaining. And we ate pizza.
It was us and
Uh,
Mac.
yep, yeah, shout out Mac. Uh, yeah, and we were eating pizza, and we were yeah, this movie's weird. I wonder what happens
Oh, hold on.
about things.
Repeat that. We just had a little hiccup.
Yeah, I was just saying, while we were watching the first half, we weren't taking that seriously, etc., etc. Uh, then we start the second half of the movie, and like for the whole rest of the movie, we were like dead silent and just kind of like I was just like in awe the whole time at like what was going on. Um, yeah, I mean the Silencio scene was just very like affecting, and I think especially because I had kind of like been like put off guard by like not taking it that seriously to begin with, it was like that much more like effective when we watched it. And yeah, I mean it really I think solidified like what I think is like Lynch's ability to like affect you emotionally in like a very unorthodox and unexpected way, right? Like
Yeah.
I mean, if I describe the Silencio scene to you, it's like a woman sings in a theater. Like it doesn't sound that amazing, but the way he uses the cinematography, I mean the sound design, and how everything kind of comes together, it just it's really impactful, and I think he had like a really uh, amazing ability to do that throughout all his work. And yeah, that was like when it first hit me, and I think we were all watching movies and stuff, and we talked about movies at that time, but I think that one was one that really like stuck with me and really like I thought about a lot, you know?
Yeah, he that was such a great because I had seen Eraserhead and my takeaway from Eraserhead after watching it for the first time was it's cool. I don't think I should have watched this for my first Lynch movie because that is like because there's like that movie is so like abstract in like a different way. It's like
Yeah.
it's like uh you have to like really like interpret that. It doesn't really tell you anything. It just kind of presents you these events and you kind of have to like find a way to interpret them.
Yeah, it's I think Mulholland Drive has like more of a plot to ground you,
Yeah.
which makes for easier viewing. But yeah, I think Eraserhead just kind of throws you in the deep end, and it does make it yeah, a little bit harder, especially if it's the first one that you're seeing. But yeah,
But Mulholland Drive is just like, I mean, I have a hard time choosing what my favorite Lynch movie is because like he has like
me too.
multiple that are like basically perfect. Or I would say Eraserhead is one of them. Uh,
Yeah,
but Mulholland Drive is probably my favorite just because of the memories I have with it. And like when I rewatched it a few years ago, I think you and Namal did a show.
yeah,
What?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's right.
I
Yeah,
wasn't able to attend because I was sick. I had like the
yeah. I
flu or
remember.
something. But I
Mm-hmm.
rewatched it at that time and it was like just as good, if not better. And that's like
Yeah,
it's like it's so good. Like if anyone
yeah.
watching hasn't seen it, like it's I think you can enjoy it even if you're like not like into like more abstract movies. I don't know how to like it's not like something like crazy
It's
abstract,
a
but it's like
definitely a good place to start, and I think that
yeah.
kind of helped us enjoy his stuff more is starting there. But uh, yeah, amazing movie. It's been in my like letterbox top four, I think, since probably since I got the app, or maybe uh since I watched it at least. I don't know if I had letterboxed um or if I saw Mulholland Drive first. I don't
Yeah.
remember. But yeah, it's a classic and yeah, amazing time watching it. Also, yeah, I think it's interesting also in retrospect, because I learned that it was originally meant to be a TV series,
Yeah.
like kind of in some ways spiritual successor to Twin Peaks, um, but it wasn't. But they made it a movie, and I think they did an awesome job at that. I don't know, it didn't feel like compromised or anything. Like if I would have heard that, like, oh, it was a TV show, but then they turned it into a movie, I feel like I would have had like lower expectations, or I would have thought it's like cobbled together. But yeah, I don't know. It feels like perfectly made the way it was.
Yeah. And like I could see how it was originally supposed to be a TV show. Or like I don't know
Mm.
if it was like necessarily conceptualized as one or they like started filming like before they decided to make a movie. I don't really know the timeline
Yeah,
there.
my understanding is that at least some of the scenes that were used in the movie were used for a pilot that was sent to like CBS or something, I think. But they were just not having it. They were not
Yeah.
happy about some of those choices. In particular, I think I don't know if you remember this, but there's like a scene where the camera like does a close up on some dog poop, like
Yeah, I
kind of
think I remember
early in the
that.
movie, and they were not happy. They were like, "You need to cut that scene," and he's like, "I'm not gonna cut that scene," and so he made a movie instead.
Yeah. Uh, awesome movie.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, I guess I'll get into my next thing. Honestly, I could like name like five memories now that I'm at it. Now that we're going, like just so many things are like popping into my head. But I think of interest to us, another awesome moment that we had was the Larter Mom show
Yeah,
that
that
we
was so
had.
fun.
Yeah, where we watched Wild at Heart. Uh, which yeah, that one is like I think I think it's fair to say his most underrated movie.
That
Like
I've seen, yeah.
I just don't see people talking about it as much, but I really really love that one. And yeah, for those who don't know, who weren't tuned in during our student radio days, we watched this movie. I think we watched it together, but then our moms watched them on their own. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, so that was a classic uh event. Is the stream up right now? Sorry, I'm seeing a black screen.
Oh, yeah, no. I went to check, sorry. I went to check real quick if I had it saved, if I had the stream saved.
Yeah,
I think we do.
we're
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think that stream is because I think that was in like January. I know it was just like a because I saw we had one for January 2023, and I think that's
Oh,
when it
the
was.
the Larter mom show, you have it saved? Okay,
I think
good.
so. Or at least I have a show in January saved. I didn't like really name them. I just
Well, we
downloaded them.
can, yeah, we can always check, or just listen in and see if it's the right one. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was I guess it was around this time of year then. But so maybe like around 2 years ago,
Yeah.
this month. Uh, but yeah, so my mom and your mom individually watched the movie. We found a website where they could watch it because it's like probably his most inaccessible movie too.
Yeah.
Which I guess goes hand in hand with it being underrated.
I don't even know if my mom rewatched. I think she rewatched scenes, but she had it like it was one of those movies that like she saw a lot, and like she
mm,
had it like burned into her memory. She like really loves
yeah,
that movie.
yeah. My mom hadn't seen it before at all. And yeah, there are some like risque scenes in that movie, I guess.
Yeah.
So it was kind of funny hearing her react to that for the first time. But yeah, I think I mean I like just to talk about that movie, like it's I think probably his most uplifting movie,
Oh yeah.
maybe. Like just like really sweet and wholesome while also being raunchy and violent.
Oh, there's some
Uh
disturbing scenes in that, but like the like the message and like the kind of vibe overall is very like you said like sweet. It's like a
mhm.
nice movie to watch.
Yeah, especially the end. I think it's just like I don't know how to explain it, but I think a lot of times, I mean, there's a point in my life when I was like a kid where like maybe you watch a movie and you're like, ooh, I gotta watch something dark with a bad ending because that's how
Yeah.
real life is. And like I think there's value in that. Like I think a bad ending or something that's not just all happy, like I can still appreciate that and there's something interesting there. But like I think what I like about Wild at Heart so much, or like one thing that I like about it is that it really gives you a very happy, satisfying ending that's good and it makes me happy.
Yeah.
It's really wholesome and like kind of despite I guess the circumstances of the movie, it's like very very nice and heartwarming.
And it's got
And
like Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern and like Willem
yeah,
Dafoe who are all like
yeah, I mean
incredible.
yeah, insane cast of awesome actors. I feel like Willem Dafoe's in like everything. It's like crazy how many things he's been
Yeah.
in. But
He was
uh,
creepy in that movie.
yeah,
His
yeah,
vibes
he
are
is.
his vibes are crazy.
Yeah, he. Ugh, I'm like remembering from some scenes that he did, and the last scene that he
That
has in
he's
that
in.
movie
Oh
is
yeah.
also
That's one of our
very.
memorable ones. That's so
Like I
awesome.
remember when that happened, like I'm not spoiling it, but his last scene, something happens, and we like simultaneously, as soon as it happened, we're like, "Whoa!" Like we were like shouting, like at the TV.
It's like I feel
Yeah,
like a lot of David Lynch movies will have like a scene like that where it's just like something just so like strange and like bombastic but also like really funny. Like
yeah.
there's
Like
a scene in Twin Peaks that I always bring up when I talk
which
about it.
one?
The the end of the like the Sawmill saga.
Oh yeah,
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 I
yeah,
always bring that
yeah.
scene up because that's like my favorite scene of the
Yeah,
entire show, and it's just like the way it happens. It's just like, and it's
yeah.
just like not. It's just like so goofy, but it's also like brilliant.
Explosive. They're all explosive,
Yeah,
bombastic scenes.
yeah. I'm using
Uh,
on the nose.
yeah, I think also, yeah, I think about like the Winky scene in, Mulholland Drive. I think kind of also fits that description.
Yeah,
It just like out of left field catches you off guard, but like is funny too. Um, yeah, but yeah, so I mean, watching that movie was great. I really enjoyed it, and then like, yeah, actually doing a show with our moms, was a vibe. It was awesome.
yeah.
Uh,
I remember to do it because like my mom really wanted to be on the show, and originally I was kind of like against it because I was like that might be weird. I don't know. But like,
Yeah.
but like, I was
I
just like, I was like, I kind of was. It was like a Christmas gift to her. I was like, you know what? Like, you could be on an episode. I think it'll be really
Wow,
fun.
I gave it to my mom for free. I should have milked it. Dang.
I mean, I mean, it was like, but like, I think the episode ended up really good, and like,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
nothing that I like. I don't know. It's just like when you have your mom on something like that, you kind of expect it to get like, it's just like in like a stereotypical way, like embarrassing for you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what you
But
mean.
like,
Like,
but
oh,
like,
Carter, oh, what are you doing? You
yeah,
can't,
like,
oh, like,
like
you got a little stain on you.
it'll be like the
Like, come
cartoon where it's like, well, I'm gonna show everyone his baby pictures, which like
leave
you
me
can't.
alone, Mom.
but like, but like, I mean, nothing like that ended up happening, and it was just like a really fun episode, and it was like genuinely just a really good conversation.
Yeah, and I think it was cool because it was like something kind of cross-generational, I guess, because your mom had seen it growing up. My mom hadn't seen it, but it was like kind of from that era of movies that she was familiar with, and yeah, I mean, both of us had seen it for the first time, I think. But it still like really resonated with us, which
Yeah,
made for really good conversation, I think. So,
yeah,
yeah, that's another classic moment, I think. But yeah,
yeah. I've been wanting to, which I hope I can do at some point, but I want to show my mom Twin Peaks because I think if she'll like at least most of it. I think she'll just like.
yeah,
Maybe when it
I like,
gets to return, it will be more difficult for her, but I do
yeah,
think I do just want to show it to her because I think it's like something she would appreciate the experience of.
yeah. I remember my mom came in on me watching The Return randomly once. Uh, she was like, "What is this?" And like, it was like the very beginning scene with like the guy in the box, or he was like
Yeah.
staring at the box, and then like, yeah, crazy stuff happens. She's like, what is this? Oh my God. Oh, what's happening? I'm like, oh, this is Twin Peaks. And she's like, this is Twin Peaks?
It's like what
She's
happened
like,
to
I
it?
like this show. Do you not remember what happens in that scene? I'll just say there are
I vaguely
characters,
remember. It's been a
th-
little bit.
there's nudity and like graphic violence. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
very early
I
on.
remember that. I remember the like the what is it? The set, like the whole box that they're watching, and you're like, what
Yeah.
the fuck is going on? Like, why are they watching this box?
Yeah. That's awesome classic Lynch vibe. Um, But yeah, another memory, just gonna throw out there. I mentioned it earlier, watching Eraserhead in our dorm.
Yeah,
Uh, that was a vibe. So we invited, I'm gonna dox him, sorry, but we invited Cade, to our dorm. I don't remember what the occasion was, or like, I guess
we were
maybe we
just
were just
watching a
like
movie.
visiting. Yeah, and we are just like, yeah, you want to see this like Lynch movie? It's supposed to be weird. Um, yeah, and then Cade came over and we watched uh Eraserhead and it was awesome and I loved it.
Yeah.
We had the I'm trying to remember what chair I was using because I know we had that like really uncomfortable chair that I kept my games in, like the one that like was like this kind of thing.
I think I was using my desk chair,
Yeah, that was
and
a classic unit.
I think you had it was like the chair. I don't know what you call those.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know the one that's like it was like fluffy and like you
Yeah.
just kind of like unfold it. Yeah, and I think Cade was on the flat chair.
Yeah.
That yeah was kind of horrible to sit on, honestly.
Yeah.
So shout out, Cade. Yeah. Um, but yeah, it was really yeah, I don't know. It was like very abstract and like weird, but I guess. I feel like I've said it's like it's like his most movie that's like or a movie that's most like a horror movie,
Oh
I
yeah.
guess.
It
Um
like straight up is a horror movie, I think.
yeah. And I think I enjoyed aspects of that. And I think even though it's like kind of hard to like latch on to like, a straightforward like storyline. There's like a lot of like funny human random moments of people talking and interesting main guy with weird hair.
I
Uh
I I think at this point I have at least a decent understanding of like what the movie is trying to say. Like after
mhm.
like probably I've seen it probably like 4 times at this point. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's it's definitely one where like you kind of watch it for the first time and you're like kind of like like what just happened there?
Yeah. Yeah, I think cuz I know we had a second showing of that movie
When we were at Park
in
West,
Park West.
we had
Yeah.
so many people
It,
over then.
yeah. That was crazy. That was like the only time we hosted people at that apartment.
We did a
Um
lot of that at
the
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 dorm. I have
yeah.
like so many memories of just like watching movies at the dorm.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah,
like a
and
different
playing
vibe.
Goldeneye. I remember you played
GoldenEye. We
Goldeneye that
played
one
Mario Party.
time.
That was the origin of Bitch's
Oh
House.
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah, I forgot
We
about
were
that.
playing with Micah, and he
Yeah.
just like kept
Yep.
losing it because he kept saying Bitch's House.
Yeah. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, and yeah, I really liked hosting for that. I guess while I'm mentioning that too, another memory that I thought of to talk about was honestly both of our viewings of Inland Empire.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I kind
did
of
you
I was
join us for the second one? I don't remember
I
if
don't think
you.
so because
Okay.
full
Yeah.
disclosure, and I hate that I have this opinion about this movie. I
Yeah.
genuinely do. I don't like
Yeah.
Inland Empire just because I think
Yeah.
it's just like it's a little
Too much.
much. It's just too
Too
much.
much.
Like, and I
Yeah.
think I don't know. Like, it's okay for me to not like it. It's like a typical
Yeah. No, I
movie.
don't. Yeah. It's. I mean, like, I think it's undeniable that it's like abrasive.
Yeah,
Um, Probably more so than like maybe anything else that he's made.
I
I
think
think.
what happened was is that because the first time I watched the whole thing and I just didn't like it. There were a few scenes
Yeah.
that stuck out to me, and it was definitely like disturbing. But I was
Yeah.
just kind of like, Uh, yeah, I don't know about this one. But
Yeah.
I was like, I've watched more experimental movies. I'm ready to rewatch this. I'm gonna like it this time, and I watched it with you, and I got maybe like a third of the way through, and I like turned to you and I was like, Lars, I can't take this anymore.
No, I remember. I like can picture it like we were sitting on the couch and like we are like both turned away and then like I think you're like, "Hey, could you pause it?" And you're like, "I can't do this, man. I can't. I need to go. I need to go."
Was I
And
like
then like
that?
yeah, it was bad. Like I could tell you were at your limit and I was
It's
like,
just I don't. It's
"Okay,
like
that's fine." Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like I was kind of hoping not to like I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like I don't want to like harp too much about like me not liking that movie because like this is a celebration of him, you know? Like I want to like talk
Yeah.
about everything I love about
Sure.
David Lynch.
You don't have
But
to
like
lie, but you can just soften your
but
yeah.
no, but like my main thing is that like I see the vision. I
Hmm.
like could totally appreciate it. I just don't like watching it. It's not a really
Yeah,
like
I think
it's a
that's
hard to get through movie. It's like
I
three
think that's
hours.
it's very valid. It's a very valid take. And like I think for me, I almost like the act of watching the movie more than watching it itself, if that makes sense. Like I liked like I'll say this, watching the movie for the first time, and for the second time for that matter, I felt like this is like the closest a movie has come to like feeling like it was like putting me in a trance or like
Yeah.
hypnotizing me or something. Um, it's like it can be very monotonous. It's extremely, like dreamlike, nonsensical for the most part. Like scenes bleed in and out of each other. Uh, that like after having watched it I mean, I think I've only watched it 2 times, but I'd definitely like to watch it again. And I've thought about it a lot. Like, it's like a beast. Like, there's a lot going on, and like a lot of very strange parts. And like, it also feels like the movie is ending like 4 times while you're watching it, and it doesn't. So I feel like that makes you kind of feel like what's going on here, like that kind of thing. Um, but yeah, there's just like a lot of really fun, creative choices, and like it's just like it's like his weird vibes, like turned up all the way with like again like not a kind of like Eraserhead, less to ground, I guess, to ground you in the movie, but um like to me, I think just like the themes and the vibes and the general atmosphere is what I would, you know, or like what I enjoy the most about it, I guess, and what made me want to watch it again. And I guess yeah, so for the second time we watched it, I like made it a whole thing um at our the house that we were staying in College Station, and I yeah, I don't know what I called it, like Morning Inland Empire
Oh
or
yeah, y'all
something.
like got
Yeah.
yeah, you watched it in the morning. That's crazy.
Yeah, so we like got coffee and donuts at like 6 in the morning. We invited like it's like 10 people or something like that came over, and we all sat down in like the couches there. We had our coffee and donuts, and we sat down and we watched that movie for the full 3 hours, and it was awesome.
What was
Like
the general
I,
reaction?
everyone was like, "Huh? What?" Like that's not even like that's not even like the worst one that we did like that, because we also had the oh, thank you, Cade. Bye bye. Bye
Bye.
bye, Cade. Um yeah, I mean, I think because we also did a thing where we made like burgers and we watched Come and See. I don't know if you remember that.
I watched Come and See that year, but I don't think it was with y'all.
Yeah, well, we had burgers, and it's not a movie to eat burgers. Eat
That's a
burgers.
fucked movie.
Yeah.
Uh, I this is a little bit of a sidebar. I really regret not joining in on more of those movie watching things. I don't know. I was just that was like a depression era for me. I look back at like that era fondly, but I was just very
Yeah.
depressed.
I mean, yeah. Whatever was best for you at the time, I think there's no point in regretting it.
Yeah, you're right.
Um, but yeah, I think yeah, I mean, they were like it was like, and excuse my language here, but it was like definitely like fucked vibes.
Yeah.
Like like great get together of friends and all this stuff, and like totally inappropriate movie for this setting.
Yeah.
Which was I mean, it made them very memorable and like just like humorous in concept. You know what I mean?
That was like I
Um,
also remember that one of the movies I actually did watch with y'all was what's it called? Under the Skin, is it?
yeah.
And that one
Yeah, I know
that
you
was a
did
diff
not like that one.
I hated that
Yeah,
movie. And that's not David Lynch,
yeah,
but I hated that
yeah,
movie. And I actually hated that movie. It wasn't like Inland Empire where it's like I can see what this is going for, but I just don't like watching it. It was like I actively
yeah.
despised that movie.
Yep. Did you watch the other one by him, by Jonathan
No,
Glazer?
I'm sure I'll like
Zone of
that one
Interest.
more.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think I will.
Yeah, I think yeah, I mean, I think that just like the Inland Empire, both settings, where it was just you and I and you
Yeah.
got filtered.
Well, I think
Um
Josh and Sam were there for it, Under the Skin.
oh yeah. No, 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 I'm talking about for Inland Empire, I mean.
Yeah, but
Um
that was just us two, and I got filtered.
Yeah, but that was fun nonetheless. Because it was crazy for me too, because I then transitioned to watching that movie in my room, like from like the like couch to my room, and I had like my water bottle that I just got that had like a straw thing that you like sip from. And I remember just like sitting there watching that movie and like sipping the water uh almost like on like a specific frequency like every like couple minutes and just like completely losing myself because it was like pitch black outside. All the lights in the apartment were off, and I was just watching this movie, and like the water was like grounding me. Like it was the only thing I had my tether to reality.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was a really fun experience
If I ever,
both times.
I don't know if this is because I've know they've done this before for this movie, but if they ever show this movie in theaters again, I think that would probably be the ideal environment for this movie.
Oh, for
Which
sure.
is kind of
Yeah.
weird considering like it's not like it's like very lo-fi. It's
Yeah.
like shot all on like digital and like kind of like it's like very camcorder-esque
Hmm.
filming, but like
Yeah,
I
I think it
think
was on all of it was shot on a camcorder if I'm not mistaken. But yeah.
yeah, but like just like there wouldn't be any distractions. It would just be like it
Mm.
wouldn't I wouldn't like I mean I could always leave the theater, but I don't like doing that ever when I'm watching a
Yeah.
movie. But
Yeah.
like I but just being there and kind of being like forced to watch it, I think would like kind of like help because like when I was at the apartment, I was like my room was right there, and I was just kind of like looking there,
Yeah.
and I was kind of like I just want to
I
get out of
gotta get out of
here.
here, man. Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely understand that. Yeah, if you're like forced, if you're locked in a room and forced to watch it, then
That's the
you'd
ideal
watch
environment to watch Inland
it.
Empire.
Yeah. And I think that honestly worked in our favor when we were watching it as a group because like everyone was there and like there was like a social pressure to
Yeah,
like not leave. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So it was kind of nefarious on my part, but nonetheless, it's very enjoyable and I'll
Uh,
never forget that.
Something I just want to mention, and this is, I mean, it's related to David Lynch, but it's off topic from what we were talking about. Uh, One thing I kind of, I guess I didn't like realize it as much until recently, just how like influential uh, David Lynch is to Japanese media.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Uh, but like for example, like Twin Peaks was huge in Japan. Uh,
Hmm.
like uh, they have like the commercials there. Like
Yeah. The
they had
coffee one?
the coffee
Yeah,
commercial in Japan. But like, I mean, like you're a huge like Hideo Kojima fan, and like, I mean, he's heavily influenced by David Lynch. He loves David
for
Lynch.
sure.
They
Yeah.
probably met at some point.
I honestly, I think that would be awesome if he did, if they did. I don't know if they actually did, but I know he talked. I know, like on his passing, Hideo Kojima like talked a lot about his enjoyment of him and like posted a lot about him. So
Yeah, but
yeah,
like,
I know he's definitely a fan.
but
They
one of
should
my
have met if they didn't, is my
yeah,
opinion. Yeah.
one of my favorite game series of all time, if not my favorite. It's probably not my favorite
Hmm.
just because Tony Hawk is too fun. But
That's
but
crazy, but
but
but I understand.
but Silent Hill is so heavily
Yeah.
influenced by David Lynch. Like you play Silent Hill
Oh yeah,
2,
for sure.
and it's like the acting is like uh I mean like it's harder to say like because just the way like Japanese companies do like English voiceovers is so like
Yeah.
they often are kind of like infamously bad, but like
Yeah, but in this case it benefited
yeah,
from
because like
that. Yeah.
and like it's hard to say like how much of it is really intentional. I don't want to go out on a limb and say like
My under
um
my understanding is that a lot of it is not, or like some of the people who worked on it were saying like, yeah, we didn't try to, but I don't like that doesn't affect my enjoyment of it, I don't
yeah,
think.
but like the whole thing is so Lynchian and like so it is
Yeah.
still very inspired by David Lynch. I mean, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
people
That's irrefutable. Like I know they've explicitly said a lot of people who worked on it explicitly said that they're influenced. I think particularly Eraserhead,
yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Uh
Which I feel like you can really hear in like a lot of the like
the
ambient
soundtrack.
tracks. Yeah.
The first game especially has like an like the soundtracks get more like in like two and three they more like trip hop and like shoegaze and like kind of like alt rock just stuff like vibey alt
Hmm.
rock stuff. But like the first game is like noise and industrial, just like straight up, just like scary music. And there's still
Yeah.
some of that in like two and three, but like it's very like Eraserhead-esque.
Hmm. For
Uh,
sure.
but like oh God, when they like did the Silent Hill HD collection and they redid all the voices,
Oh
I
man.
can't believe they did that. It's because they like gave it like good voice acting, but I like you can't do that with Silent Hill, man. You just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Is it?
like
Have you played the remake?
no,
The
I
Silent
really
Hill 2
want to.
remake?
I've been doing a replay. They well, I had been doing a replay last year and I didn't finish it all the way yet, but uh I want to finish my replay of two first. And then I'm gonna play just so it's like fresh in my mind, and then I'm gonna play the remake. Because I really want
Mm.
to. I'm really glad that it like turned out like people really like it. Uh,
Yeah, for sure.
because like it seems like it's a game like regardless of how like it because Silent Hill 2 is a game that can't be replaced. Like
Yeah.
you can't just make like an upgraded version of Silent Hill 2. It's
Even
impossible.
though they lost the source code
Yeah,
for it. Yeah.
but I if I could like go into Silent Hill 2 viewing it as kind of like a different experience, just like with the same framework made by people who really love the like original game, then I
Hmm.
think I could really get down with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I guess I'll just say while we're on the topic of influences, I actually I played one game that's like heavily heavily inspired. I would say almost maybe to the point of being slightly derivative. I don't want to give off the impression that I don't like this game, but uh the game Who's Lila, I think it's called.
I've heard of
Um
that.
yeah, definitely inspired by Lynch. Really good game. Very different. Oh, what was the name of that one game that you played?
I was about to
Harvester?
mention it. A
Yeah,
Harvester, yeah,
yeah,
dude, that is such like a that is like straight. That's like so like Lynch. It's like
yeah,
uh and like I that is like how did I not remember that? That's one of my favorite games.
yeah.
The
I mean,
other
I
one
think,
I was gonna bring up
yeah.
is and it's not a game I've beaten yet, and I'm probably gonna start it over because it's been so long since I last played it. But Deadly Premonition.
Mm,
It's like that's kind of like what you're saying with what is it? Who's Lila? Is that what it's called?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
It's
that's
kind
what
of
it's
like
called.
that
Yeah,
where it's like almost to the point where it's like a rip off. Like
yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
almost a rip off of Twin. It's like the exact same setup as Twin Peaks, but it's like its own thing. It's like it kind of goes.
Interestingly, I think Who's Lila is almost like a ripoff of like specifically The Return,
Hmm.
which is like a weird one to kind of rip off. But yeah, I mean, like I feel like it's probably a similar situation where I feel like at least for Who's Lila, like goes in its own direction and like focuses on different aspects than the original, but is still like a lot of the premise is very similar.
Uh, I Deadly Premonition. I need to beat that game because I know that like when I beat it, it'll be one of my favorite games. Because
Yeah, for sure.
it's like made for me. It's like so it's so the it's jank. I don't know what else to
Yeah.
say. It's so jank, but like it works so well. Like there's like vehicle sections and like and it feels like you're riding on
I think I've heard
cardboard.
people say it's like people have said it's like a so bad it's good game.
I hate
Like
it when
I've
people say
heard,
that. That's like a genuine pet
yeah,
peeve of mine because like
really?
I mean like I mean like I don't know how much. I mean, some of it's definitely not intentional. Like the game runs like
Yeah,
absolute garbage, no matter what port you get of it. It does not
that's
run
awesome.
well. Uh,
That's awesome.
but like there's definitely intentionality behind it, like the weird surreal
Yeah,
atmosphere and like the acting. I
for
think a
sure.
lot of it is intentional. Like
Yeah.
there's a scene at the beginning of the game where like you're the hotel you're staying at. You're that like it's the same setup as Twin Peaks. So you're like an FBI agent going to. He's a lot different from Dale Cooper, but like it's
Yeah.
the same kind of setup. But he's like talking to like the person who like runs the hotel, and they're like having breakfast together, and they have like this table. It's like a really long table, and they're sitting at each side of it. And the music in the game, it's like this happy like whistly music, and it's so loud, and like
That's awesome.
and like the woman is like an old lady, and she can't hear well, so she's talking really loud, and like
Yeah.
he's like trying to talk to her like so she can hear him, and they're like on the opposite side, so he's really loud, and it's just like both of them shouting at each other while this like weird happy music is like playing really loud in the background, and the whole vibe of the scene is just sensory overload, and it's just like a regular conversation, and it's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
It's so
That's so
funny.
cool.
it's
I
so
gotta play that.
it's so good. There's a Switch port uh, that I'd recommend getting. People say that's the best one. That's the one I was playing. Uh,
Okay.
I think people actively say do not play the PC version,
Hmm.
which is like
Interesting. That's not usual
apparently the PC
usually.
version is like by far the worst one. Like it apparently crashes like all the time. Uh,
Awesome.
there's a PS3 version too, and it was originally on 360. I think any other port besides the PC version is fine to play, is what
Hmm.
I've heard.
Yeah. That's dope. Um, I guess to top off our conversation about influences, I just finished a series for the second time, watching it with Abby, uh, which I don't know if you remember us watching this in the house back when, but The Leftovers.
Yeah, I
Uh,
remember y'all watching that.
yeah, 100%, in my opinion, like influenced, I think, by Lynch and Twin Peaks. In my opinion, it's probably the best show to do what Twin Peaks kind of did without being Twin Peaks. And it's not similar to Twin Peaks in like the plot almost at all, but I feel like in that kind of like whole aspect of like uh being a surreal TV series with a kind of emotional core to bring you through the whole
Hmm.
thing. So,
Yeah, I've heard it's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, I definitely recommend it. But I know you're not great with shows, so
Yeah,
if you ever want to watch a show, that's a good one, in my opinion.
I'll keep that in mind. Uh,
Yup.
but yeah, it's just like Lynch's stuff is just like that's kind of what I was getting at. I don't remember if I said this before the show when I was just talking to you, or if I said this during the show. But his work is just gonna be like remembered forever, just because like
Mm.
just like the way it's like so like otherworldly. It's never gonna like you're never gonna watch a David Lynch movie and think it's like aged poorly.
Yeah, or that it's like I can't imagine watching it and thinking like, oh, this is derivative, or like, oh, this is like, oh yeah, wow, crazy movie.
The
Not like I
the
don't know.
only
It's just
the
like
only way you think that is if you watched a bunch of stuff influenced by David Lynch and then watched David Lynch. Because like
yeah,
you can't watch a David Lynch movie and be like that's derivative because it's him like who
yeah,
started the wave of like all of those kinds of movies.
yeah. It's like, and I mean, even I think all of the influences, uh, and like kind of movies that have spawned due to David Lynch, I feel like none of them really like touch his work in a lot of ways. Like I think they're cool for being their own thing, but like I don't think I can compare any of them like directly and be like this is like a better or like even like the same vein. Like I think the only thing that's the same between a lot of these is like they like Lynch and they like being a little quirky and offbeat. maybe in a similar way, but they don't feel the same. Like every David Lynch thing that exists, I think has a kind of feeling towards it that or feeling about it that is almost indescribable.
And
That
it can't be replicated like in the
yeah.
same like people try, and like some of the, like you're saying, some of those things that try can be really good, but
Hmm.
they can't you can't just replicate what David Lynch does.
Yeah, I mean, I think some of the best ones are good for kind of their own thing.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think straying into the just trying to replicate him is not, it's just not possible. Like I think he just has such a distinct like authorial voice, um, that I happen to uh enjoy a lot. So
yeah.
I yeah, I'll be missing him a lot. I mean, I think since we started watching him, really his output hadn't really been that high. I think there was like maybe like a Netflix short movie or
There
something.
was the What Did Jack
And
Say or whatever, the one with the
yeah,
monkey. I did watch that.
which yeah, and I like that.
That's funny.
But I think yeah, I mean, I think most of the stuff that we watched came out before we were like big into his stuff. So,
I think the
you
return
know,
was like right before, like
yeah.
2017, which
Hmm.
I'm kind of upset I wasn't into the show at the time, because that would have been so awesome to watch that weekly. And like that that's like a show that, like, if I had watched that weekly and like reading like theories about it everywhere and just kind of like piecing it. I remember Mac was into the show at the time, and she told me she
Yeah.
took notes like while
Nice.
watching the show. Like and that's awesome. It's like
Yeah.
it's so cool, like that's like the type of
Yeah,
show it is.
for sure. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think he'll be missed. I don't think there'll ever be anyone like him to follow, and I think, him and everything that he did were really, it was just all really distinct, emotional, beautiful, and awesome. And I don't know. I don't think I'll ever stop liking uh, his things. I mean, Twin Peaks, I think in particular, holds like a very special place in my heart. Just
And
it being kind of a real cornerstone of this show,
yeah,
in my college existence. So yeah, I think yeah, he's an amazing artist and affected me profoundly in ways that I think I have trouble describing. But yeah.
I guess just for some final words, is I largely echo the same sentiment. And like his loss is like genuinely like it was like upsetting, and I think like I think that like it's just he's never going to be replicated, and his work is always going to be relevant, and I think he is genuinely just like one of the most important and like great modern directors of all time. Not
Hmm.
even I have modern is like because he started in like the 70s, but you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
it's not like it's like his last movie was still relatively like it was like 2007, I think, and like he made The
Yeah.
Return 2017. So like he was like
Yeah.
still making stuff until like, and he did have a cool haircut. That's true.
Yeah.
Uh,
Facts.
but yeah, David Lynch is awesome. Rest in peace. Uh,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. Glad we could talk about him and thank him because I think he's, helped bring us together as friends, bring this
absolutely,
show and our commentary and thoughts on media. I think he's helped profoundly in that way too. So,
absolutely.
yep. Uh, yeah, no shout out hour, only love out. Rest in peace to David Lynch.
All right. Yeah, love out to David Lynch. We love you
Love
here,
out.
and we'll miss
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
Uh, Thank you all for listening. This is a really good episode, and I was really happy to like talk about him because yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks everyone for tuning in. Uh, you're epic if you did.
Yeah. All right. See y'all.
Bye bye.